Hey, I'm Jay Beershank. This is my YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me out here in the woods. Found a stump, put the camera on it, and now I'm going to do a book review for Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. This was the first Dostoevsky novel I've read. I read it a couple months ago, and I think it would be probably his most well-known due to the fact that it's been very popular reading for people in school, in lower levels of school in the 19th century. Now, in 2019, mostly only a college-level book, but nonetheless, an amazingly impactful novel, I would say, especially for youth, at any point in your life, but especially youth, because I'll be transparent, disgustingly transparent, honestly. The main character in this book, his name is Raskolnikov, and he has a theory. And basically the theory is the superior man, or the superior individual, can transcend his conscience, because the conscience is maybe a societal construct that is superimposed upon you as you grow up in the world and you try to construct yourself and calibrate with society and the times. But a superior man, he refers to Caesar a lot, Julius Caesar, or Napoleon, is able to break the rules, because most don't break the rules because of their conscience. They think that it's wrong, but a superior man knows when to make the distinction to break the rules. This hit me really hard, not necessarily for what I just spoke upon, but just because of the way that I resonated with Raskolnikov in the beginning of the book. I was cheering him on, and I was like, I really like this guy. I see myself in him a lot. And but it was the most devilish part of me. It was the part that's cynical and analytical, discerns with a deep judgment. I tried to be that way, but I try to do it with, basically it's how I'd view myself if I had no spiritual grounding to operate from. Like, that's the base of everything that I do, is a spiritual grounding which keeps me centered in a place that's holistic. But Raskolnikov, he's operating from a place, I think, of transcending the need for spiritual grounding, if that makes sense. He doesn't need the base, because he feels like what's at the top of his foundation is much more wholesome, or much more advantageous, if you will. Much more advantageous to be at the top with no spiritual grounding, keeping you centered and, in reality. He can do whatever he wants because he's a superior man and understands what's holding everyone else back. And I had no idea what was going to happen in this book, but I'll do a little bit of a plot thing here. He ends up killing someone, and after he did that, it sent me into a deep introspection, because I was like, wait a second, I was idolizing this guy and I was really resonating with him and I was seeing myself in him. But is this what could happen if I gave in to that part of myself, into that devilish transcendence of normality, if you will? And it really sent me into a place of deep introspection. I would recommend this book to anyone in their youth for that reason, because you can be, I feel like in youth we are reaching for some kind of truth, to be able to have a foundation and to be solid and have a place to operate from that empowers us. We're looking for empowering truths, and when you find an empowering truth, sometimes you can take it too far, and that is what Raskolnikov did, I believe. He found a truth that empowered him, and he was living from it, and he took it so far, he stepped out of this world and he stepped into another world. And in that other world, in that golden hell that he put himself into, he committed something. He committed a crime, and as the name suggests, the punishment was far greater than he ever imagined it could be, when he was imagining how reality was through his golden hell and his outer worldly perception. It's very interesting. And as for a more direct postulate, Crime and Punishment is a great book because he kills someone and he has to deal with the repentance and the what's invoked in him through that. But I feel like you could think of it in a much smaller scale, where it's like when you are in a fit of passion, if you will, and you smoke a cigarette, or you're in a fit of passion and you steal that candy bar, or you're in a fit of passion and you have a shot at a party of some kind of alcohol or something, or you know, you're in a fit of passion and you call someone a name, or you're in a fit of passion and you slam the door. All those things on a micro scale, I think, invoke within you the same kind of repentance and the same kind of punishment that Raskolnikov suffered through the murder, but in a much smaller way. And I think that we don't always register that, and it can add up over a lifetime, those micro offenses to our foundation, if you will, those micro offenses to our foundation, and can chip away at the, in this book they use the term golden statue of like your character, your integrity. They can chip away at that. So it's interesting to think about in that respect too. When you're feeling empowered, you can make decisions. When you're feeling empowered through a certain idea that you've developed, and you act out of that idea maybe too quickly in a fit of passion, then you can end up receiving punishment that you give to yourself. It's not any kind of outside punishment. It all comes from within. That can make it more difficult to live calibrated, happily, and be your best self, and to actually be a quote-unquote superior man. I don't believe in that terminology, but someone who is in constant micro punishment through things that they've done when they were in their outerly world perception is not a superior man, because they're exclusively within their mind and they're not inclusively within the world. That was a maybe esoteric book review for this, but I would highly recommend it, this book, Crime and Punishment, if you've ever felt yourself to be a capable individual, or you think you have ideas that are, you know, authentic and genuine and can add value to the world. Maybe a sensualist or an egoist, if you've ever had the slightest inclination that you might be one of those things, reading this book will put that in your face in a great way and make you introspect upon it, definitely. Also, I would just recommend it for the same reason that I'd recommend the book Great Expectations to someone in youth. Great Expectations is by Charles Dickens, just because of the fact that in brazen youth we can look at things in a very magnified perspective, where we believe that we're chiseling out our path and our way in the world, and we think that it's so exclusive, and we have such a empowering idea about who we are and what we're doing. And books like Great Expectations and Crime and Punishment, they really help you realize that, you know, those things can be complete golden hells. Yeah, so that's my review for this. Thanks for listening. If you watched the whole thing, that's awesome, and I'd love to hear what you thought about it. And thank you very much. Enjoy. Peace.